afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today, we'll retell the incredible story of God's plan of redemption. It begins and ends with the matchless love of the Father for the people He created. It winds its way through the tragedy of the first sin in the Garden of Eden and spans the lives of men and women who responded in faith to God's work in their world. It goes by the way of Bethlehem and Nazareth and Galilee, and it reaches a glorious crescendo in Calvary and a garden too. There's only one possible title for this epic true account of how good triumphed over evil and love conquered all. This story is called Jesus Saves.
Behold the author of our salvation. Behold the wonder of grace so free. Behold the blessings of true forgiveness at Calvary. Behold the answer for all the broken. Behold the mercy that makes a way. Behold the promise of perfect healing at Calvary. Come and see what God has done. Come and see what love has done. In this place, hearts and lives waking up to the light of the world. You're the light of the world. The cross is speaking your words of freedom. No condemnation shall be our fear. Our shame is silenced. Your love is triumphed at Calvary. Come and see what God has done. Come and see what love has done. In this place, hearts and lives waking up to the light of the world. You're the light of the world. God is your love here on display. We stand in awe. It takes our breath away. God is your love here on display. We stand in awe. It takes our breath away. God is your love here on display. We stand in awe. It takes our breath away. God is your love here on display. We stand in awe. It takes our breath away. Come and see what God has done. Come and see what God has done. In this place, hearts and lives waking up to the light of the world. You're the light of the world. In this place, hearts and lives waking up to the light of the world. You're the light of the world. You're the light of the
Scripture says that the Lamb who would die to redeem us was slain from the foundation of the world. Yes, The Father's plan was in place from the beginning. Still, there would be centuries of waiting before his arrival. Prophets foretold his coming with words like, "There'll be no end to the increase of his government, or of peace, on the throne of David over his kingdom, establish it and uphold it with justice and righteousness from then on and forevermore." People of God had chosen for himself strayed further and further from him. He never gave up on them. The prophets reminded them that their salvation is on the way, saying, "Behold, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when I shall raise up for David a righteous branch, and he will reign as king and act wisely and do justice and righteousness in the land. In his days, Judah will be saved, and Israel will dwell securely. And this is his name by which he will be called, the Lord our righteousness." After 400 years, God's silence was broken by angelic announcement to a priest named Zachariah, a virgin named Mary, and a carpenter named Joseph. The arrival of the promised one was imminent. Then, there he was, God with us. Jesus, he was born in Bethlehem. He began his ministry when he was 30 years old. He cared for the poor and the outcasts. He healed the sick and demonstrated his power over a natural world. He taught the people what a promised kingdom would be like. And yet, this wasn't the reason why he had come to earth. The time for that was at hand. But first, he would be welcomed into the city of Jerusalem as the king he truly was.